Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Struggling Hunters. This is episode 80. If you missed the previous 79, there's different platforms you can go to listen to. You can go to the YouTube channel, or you can go to the podcast stuff, whatever platform you listen on. You have the ability to listen to the previous 79 episodes and get caught up. So go ahead and we'll let you go do that, and we'll just wait right here. Anyways, so how you doing tonight, Eric?
Oh, not too bad, Joe. Not too bad. Just plugging along, ready to get this podcast in and talk a little bit about hunting and
Yeah,
have a
you
little
know it's
fun.
kind of interesting and crazy in a way. Like, I don't know about crazy, but it's kind of fun this year where I haven't quite gotten into my late season yet. I still got to take my. Hopefully, I can still do it. I guess I need to find out if I can. But my ethics course to hunt the late season archery here in Utah, and then you still got your doe tag coming up, and I'm going out tomorrow with a neighbor to go on his doe hunt. And then I still got my turkey tags. So it's a weird place to be right now. Now, I shouldn't say weird. It's just interesting. Like, I had my late season last year and whatnot, but still have the opportunity to go hunting. Like, it's not
Yeah,
over.
yeah. I know. I'm excited too. It's a weird. Well, like you said, it's kind of a weird spot because I, I I feel like I'm kind of in this weird dead zone or whatever. Where I'm not getting any. I'm not hunting. I'm not doing nothing with hunting necessarily. I'm just kind of waiting for my hunt to come up.
Right.
And but I am excited about it though. I might have, I think I said the same thing last week, but I'm marking where I see does and you know if I don't
Cool.
mark them on the Onyx, I'm taking a mental note.
Right.
Some of the places I've been seeing them, they're kind of places where I can't hunt, so I don't mark those ones. But the places that I can hunt, I try to mark them up. But I only have like 2 weeks left, and then I'm hunting again. So kind of
Cool.
excited about that. And
And I
I,
still hope you're still okay with me coming out. I think we're planning on coming out if you're okay. Me tagging along with you.
oh, I'm always okay with you coming along, Joe.
But then again, if you can be like, I've talked to you once a week. I'm done with you for now. That's just too much.
Yeah, no, you're always good to come along and hunt. Makes makes
Cool.
a makes a funner hunt whenever you come out. So
Good. Well, I guess before we kind of get any further, for
plus
those that have been
plus
listening.
I well, I gotta interject here
Oh,
because I
sorry.
also need somebody to pack the deer for me.
Oh
Can't do
yeah.
it.
No, I guess that's a given. I guess if you allow me to tag along, you just got to shoot it, and I'll bring it back to the truck for you.
Yeah. If nothing else, though, I mean, you could do a deer drive for me too. We
That
good little
too.
drive.
Just don't shoot me and clean me.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, no. I was kind of thinking about that. I was like, well, if Joe comes, I could probably have him. There's
Yeah.
this one area I was like, maybe drop him off up here and push down. We'll let
Yeah.
everything settle down for a little bit and then have him push down. And I was like, man, I don't know. Hopefully, I could see him though, or something. Like
Yeah. I have to for sure get my orange.
yeah. Well, yeah, I'd hate to. That's the only thing with those deer drives, I guess, is like, I guess this is kind of a hot tip or something. But yeah, you just got to make sure you know where the guy is that's driving them, because
Yeah. No, that would be kind of fun though. It'd be kind of interesting. I think I've only been a part of like one deer push my whole life, and I was the one doing the push, but I wouldn't say I was doing it correct. I don't think we set up correctly because I think we tried to push the deer back up the draw instead of setting up in the draw and down lower. We tried to push them up, and deer don't typically want to go up. So
yeah, I don't even know if I've ever really been a part of a full drive myself.
Yeah, I think I've, it was like one of those things when you're hunting someone like, oh, you hike over there, I'll hike over here, and we'll just see if we kick something over, but nothing, no, like actual thought out like push.
Plan, yeah, yeah. I've
Well,
never had a planned one. Just
I
same
take
thing.
that back. Josh, my brother shot a doe years ago by doing a push. It's kind of funny. I was like, okay, you sit here, watch this clearing. I'm gonna go up here and like, just it was like it was up in Idaho, a logging road, and I'll push to see if I can push any does out to you, and and so I went up the road, and then like just right, I guess I can't remember if I heard a shot or not, but like I go walking back, and I was like, "So you get anything?" He like points over. Yeah, there's a doe right over there. I was like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Yeah, it happened just like you said it would. You went up there for a little bit, and then these does popped out." I was like, "Huh,
you know,
interesting."
you know. It kind of reminds me of a story my father-in-law was telling me here not too long ago. Um, you might have heard it whenever he was up there hunting with us last year, um, but I forgot all about it. I feel like I heard it one other time, but I kind of forgot about it, and he reset it here recently, and I just started cracking up. Anyways, he said that he was out hunting, and he saw this old guy uh, jump out and shoot this bull elk, and he was just sitting in the truck. And so he went down there, and I think he was with somebody, his brother or a friend or something. Anyways, he was an older guy, that's why he was sitting in the truck. He's kind of his later years, and he couldn't move around much. And the older guy explained to him. He said, "Yeah, my son, he took off up through the woods, and he was gonna go do this hunt this way, and I just stayed in the truck." And so my father-in-law and I'll just say his brother, they helped him out, and helped him gut it and put the elk in the back of the pickup and everything, and then he just went on to sitting in the truck, and, and so the idea is he was like, "Yeah, well, I can't wait till my son comes down here, and I'm gonna be like, where you been?" And have that elk in there, and because he was
Yeah,
slow moving, he couldn't get that elk by himself,
yeah,
and so uh, my father-in-law, he said we didn't stick around to see the reaction, but he's like, I can only imagine it was probably his son had a dumbfounded look on him whenever he got back to the truck. How'd you get this
right.
this elk in the back of the truck? But anyways, it cracked me up though. It was a pretty funny story.
Huh. But yeah, so I'll for sure go bust the brush for you, and hopefully get whatever it takes to get successful in a day. But
Yeah, yeah. I'm really hoping for it. I think if we play the light. I've been seeing them, in the middle of the day and stuff too. But I think if we kind of that evening hunt, I'm
uh huh,
I'm kind of confident that I'll see some does pop out.
good,
So
good.
I'm
Yeah,
hoping.
so I hope so too, because I want to be coming home with blood on my hands.
Yeah,
But but yeah, so I guess I'll get back on track here, and uh, for those of you that have been listening to the last couple podcasts, we've been trying to adapt Fred Bear's Ten Commandments, and we're on number 6, and if you haven't read his commandments, Google them. You can find them on the old interweb. But number 6 is where we're at today. Um, you want to read it, Eric?
yeah. I'll read it real quick. Rainstorm isn't a reason to quit hunting. It's a reason to stay. Um, I can add on to it real quick. I went through that this season with archery with the elk, and I actually referred to that too. Because I'm getting poured on, and it was kind of getting miserable, and I just got through reading the Fred Bear's Ten Commandments, and I was like, you know what? I was like, this is I'm right where I need to be. It actually it really did help. I mean, because it was that little piece of advice that I needed. Because it's pretty easy to, when the elements get rough, to just be like, I'll pack it up and go to camp. But
Right. Well, I was just going to say too, kind of on that note, like, it's, a rainstorm isn't a reason to quit. And how often are you looking for a reason to quit? Like bottom line, you're
oh,
tired, you're hungry, and miserable in more ways than you want to really admit to, and you're
frustrated.
like, yeah, frustrated, and then it starts raining, and you're just more or less like, well, I'm done.
Yep, yep. Call it a rest day. But
Yep.
when you're elk hunting, and that's the thing too. Um, I've went through all those emotions where I wanted to quit for any reason. Just being mostly out of frustration more than anything. Just not seeing anything, and it's just like, man, the, just quit. But
Yeah.
um, I pushed through it, and I feel like you're always more proud of yourself for pushing through it than giving in to those voices that tell you to quit.
Right.
And for sure, I'm completely. I've had all those voices. I might have even made some decisions to where I did quit a little earlier than I should have, because I was frustrated and tired and everything. But that's the thing that you got to keep in your mind is most of us, we only have 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, whatever it is. Some of us just have 3 days or a weekend to hunt. We go through all that trouble
Right.
buying the tags, and we can only get 3 days off or whatever. But whatever it is, like, that's all it's gonna last. Then you got the rest of the year to prepare to do it again, and so you might as well just be out there, whether it's rain, snow, sunshine, wind. You might as
Right.
well be out there, and because you just never know, man. You never
True.
know.
It's a reason to stay. I mean, like, it's kind of funny, not funny, but interesting to think about the back half of that. It's the reason to stay. Like, so like, I kind of start kind of being like, okay, what, I'm reading into it a little bit, like, that's the reason to stay. So is it the reason to? I guess it probably depends on what you're doing. The reason to stay hiking, the reason to stay maybe perched up under the tree out of the rain and watch. But I think you got to. We should throw in there like a a butt in there, like if there's lightning, if you know a lightning storm's coming in, you might want to get back to your truck. Or
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, there is some caveats there, because you don't want to get stuck in something that you might literally get stuck in.
yeah,
So, or get struck in.
exactly.
So,
Uh, Eric's just over there strucking.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, I was thinking back whenever I was a kid. Um, I was hunting with my dad, and it was I want to say it was snowing, but I remember it started snowing real bad, and and he said, he said, oh, this is good, and I said, oh, why is that? And he said, well, sometimes they get moving, whenever these snowstorms come, they'll start moving. And he no longer said that. And I remember, I can't remember if it was bucks or does, but we were whitetail hunting, and we saw some deer jump out, moving through the brush, trying to find cover or whatever they were doing, but they were on the move, and the weather was getting worse and worse. And so I always kind of remembered that, or tried to remember
Uh,
that, I guess, is sometimes they do get on the move whenever the weather's not favoring them. Now with elk though, I don't know. I mean, I'm not 100% sure with elk if they try to bed down or if they move, but
Right. I'm not sure either, to be 100% honest with you. I think it has a lot to do probably with how severe the rain is and how light it is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, sometimes they might enjoy it. The rain,
yeah,
depending on the time of year, they might
right.
when they're
And
in the
where they're
rut.
at and their
Yeah,
location. But
a lot of variables, I guess. But
right. But no, but back to it. It's a good, maybe if you're down and out and ready to quit, and the tuck that one back in your brain somewhere as a motivator. If it's raining a little bit, it's a good reason to stay, not leave.
well, and another thing too is whenever you're doing the public lands like we do,
Yeah.
a lot of other people are out there, and most of them are gonna, you know, see that rain and go, let's go back to camp.
Right.
So that's another reason to stay because the pressure's lifting off, or they're giving up with the pressure and they're giving up going back to camp, and there isn't as much pressure. Is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
They won't be out there pressuring the elk either, so it kind of gives you more of a chance to stay out there. And
Yeah.
so I'm definitely a fan of that concept, anyways, of staying out
Yeah.
there. And but with today's equipment though, and the rain gear that they have and everything else, I mean, you can stay out there for
True.
you just got to get it. Going back to my hunt, whenever I was in my rainstorm, my coat was fine, but I didn't really have like rain pants or
Right.
even gaiters, and I really wish I would have at least had gaiters because I was getting a little wet.
Yep. That
But
happens.
you know what though? Speaking of that, I mean, this is just totally a rabbit hole thing. It's not even a big deal, but I was actually pretty impressed. So my pack,
Uh huh.
my Killick 2800 pack, um, that thing I was pretty. So it came with a rain hood that goes around it, and I threw that on, and whenever I first got my pack, I'm like, I probably never even used that, But I started getting that rain, and I noticed the material that's made of is kind of like water resistant, but it's not necessarily waterproof. And I could
Right.
tell it was you know, getting enough water on it. It was kind of getting soaked. So I put that. And I was like, man, that's worked out pretty good. I was kind of impressed with that little rain hood. Like I said, that was total like little rabbit hole.
Right.
Has nothing to do with anything. But I was impressed. That pack has just impressed me since I've gotten it. I mean, I'd say the only thing is the only thing for me is comfortability. It's probably like medium comfortable. It's not probably the most comfortable pack in the world, but I mean it's done me good so far since I've had it. Pretty impressed with it for
Cool.
sure.
Yeah. That's good.
Probably didn't think that this was going to turn into a review video, did you?
No, I did not. But we got that. We got that reviewed.
Yes, yes.
Um. So I was trying, just looking over like kind of the notes that we had that were going over. Do we want to talk about like my hunts, or not my hunts, but like kind of the hunt that I'm going on with the neighbor, or do you want to go over the question?
Why don't you go over your hunt real quick and kind of tell everybody where you're at?
Okay. So like I said earlier, I got a doe hunt with the neighbor. Going out, hopefully going out tomorrow after work. Um, I found a little spot last week where there's about 6 does that were going through this opening. So hopefully, I think we might be going to that spot, but don't know for sure. But we're going up in that area. Uh, one of the things I wanted to kind of share too was when I went out turkey hunting the last time, or one of the last times. I think it was. Anyways, I just wanted to share like an experience I had with some quail um, that I've never had before, and I can see why people at times in the woods would get scared and think something was out there that was bigger than it really is, and like and like I said, I would totally understand it if I didn't see the aftermath of it. If I just happened to be like sitting there all by myself, kind of lost, scared, or whatever, the in a rainstorm, or just new area, not quite, just baffled or whatever. But I was sitting there and I did this little call where for turkeys that would, supposedly it's calling the flock back together after it's like landed or if it's been feeding and they're separated out and one of them's trying to call them all back together. I did this little call, and then after I did that, I started hearing like this. I can't even. It was a hum, but it's kind of hard to really explain. And there was a hill up in front of me, and then it was kind of this tall scrub oak off to my left, and then this big meadow between me and the hill. And this hum thing started going off in front of me, then it would go quiet, and then off to my left there'd be some hums going off to my left a little bit, and I was like, this is interesting. Then all of a sudden the whole hillside more or less just started humming, and I was just like, uh, I don't know what to expect of this. I've never heard this before, and then it went quiet, and I can't see anything move, I can't hear anything move, and for as much noise that was going on, I was like, there's something over there. So like I said, so then it goes quiet, and then like three, at least three coveys of quail jumped up at three different times, but like from the hillside, jumped up and flew down in front of me.
Mm.
So, I was like, oh, that was a quail making whatever whatever noises quail make. but but like I said, it was interesting, and I could see how people get scared out in the woods. Like especially if it's your first time out. And I was scared. I didn't know what it was. To be a little bit honest, I was a little worked up. I'd never heard it before.
It's hard whenever you hear a noise that you're not familiar with, and you automatically think like predator or something.
Right.
I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I mean.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're going that flight or what is it? Fight or flight
Fight or
mode.
flight. Yep. Yep.
And I was like, I think I'm gonna get out of here. But I happened to see what was making the noise, so that helped. But it was interesting. It was fun.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Then you felt tough again.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, it's just a little bird.
Yeah, just little Tweety birds.
Yeah, they can't hurt me. So I'll eat you.
Yeah. Oh, especially man, sometimes it can get in your head though, especially when you're hunting by yourself.
Right.
Things can really get in your head sometimes. I don't know why.
Yeah, we get thinking about your safety and stuff too. You're like, well, I don't want to be that dude out in the that search and rescue has to come find or whatever. Like I don't want to be a casualty if I can keep from it. So you kind of at times err on the side of caution than pushing it.
Did I tell you that? Now that I'm thinking about it, though, it might have been a coyote. Either way, though, I saw the back. So when I was hunting, did I tell you that I thought I saw a mountain lion? Maybe.
No, I don't think you did.
Well, I don't know, because now that I'm thinking it probably could have been a coyote, and the reason I say that too is because up in that area, I'm always hearing coyotes howl at night and stuff. So I think it's pretty thick with coyotes for sure. But for some reason, my head went straight to mountain lion. But me and Carter were walking. Remember that first year where we saw all those cows run by us?
Uh-huh.
We were up in that spot. We were checking it out one evening when he was with me, and I was walking down, and I just saw the back of it, and it looked kind of small, but my first thought, the reason why I thought it looked like it moved like a cat. I never really saw its head or anything, but it moved like a cat.
Right.
So my first thought was mountain lion, and then I was like, man, it did look kind of small. Maybe it was like a bobcat or something. But
Yeah.
now that I'm now that I'm out away from there, I'm kind of thinking maybe it was a coyote.
Mm.
Anyway, so having Carter with me and stuff, and like I ain't messing around with that. Having my son
Right.
with me, like I grab my pistol and cock the shell in, and then I do this action right, and I'm thinking he's gonna like, and I told him, I said, hey, I think I saw a mountain lion, and I said, stay close to me, and we get to walking, and we were pretty close to the truck, so we're probably a couple hundred yards away or something, and I want to say maybe we were like 50 yards away from the truck or something, and he wasn't acting scared or nervous or anything. And I said, "Do you know what I said?" And he's like, "No, not really." And I'm like, I thought I saw a mountain lion," and he's like, "Oh, okay." But it was just right in front of us, maybe 25 yards or something. Like I said, he was just kind of creeping through the woods, and
Huh.
it didn't. I mean, the thing I think heard us or saw us, one of the two. Um, didn't really act like he wanted a part of us, but I just saw his back, and I was like, I ain't taking no chances, And
Yeah.
um, I, like I said, I don't know what I saw 100%. I'm pretty sure it was a predator of some sort, but
Right.
yeah, I I grabbed my pistol so fast and cocked it, and
Yeah.
I wasn't messing around, man. I was like, especially with my boy, because in my head I always get this fear. I don't know how good of a podcast this will be, me talking about all this stuff, but I always get this fear of just the fact that he's a smaller,
Right.
and they might look at him like some easy prey.
Yeah.
Um, so I actually get a little more nervous whenever I have him than I am by myself. By myself, I don't know. I just kind of feel like I'm a big enough guy. They probably, do the old what was it it was it Davy Crockett that just grinned at him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Grinned him. Yeah.
yep, that's what I would do.
Yeah. You scare me. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
definitely got a radio face.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Thanks, buddy. I don't even know how to respond to that.
Sorry.
It was good. I'm actually impressed.
Uh, but yeah, so I guess we kind of move on to our kind of the question where me and Eric were talking about what we kind of want to discuss tonight, and yeah, we won't lie, we found it on like a hunting group thing, and we're like, oh, that's kind of a good question. We'll maybe weave that in, and the question is, what are some of the hunting lessons that you've learned the hard way? And that's kind of open ended. It can go anywhere. But I thought I was gonna have one ready for when I read that off, but like my mind has not been focusing on that question of what I've learned the hard way. The
Um.
only
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, all I was gonna say, because I kind of have one, just kind of open it up for conversation. Uh, I would say one lesson that I've learned the hard way is that not all animals are hunted the same way. If that makes
Oh,
sense.
yeah, it does.
Um,
It does.
I put a lot of pride in, and I wasn't the greatest whitetail hunter either. I mean, don't let me fool you. I'm not saying I mean, I would get a whitetail, but a lot of the time it was a doe or whatever. But and they were kind of a dime a dozen. But you go out there and you usually always jump to doe at some point, and
Right.
then working elk. There's times you don't see elk for your entire hunting season, or sometimes you don't see elk till your last day or whatever the case may be, and it gets frustrating. And some of it is though is like learning, like what you can get away with on uh, whitetail hunting. I mean, you can hunt the meadows and where like elk, it seems like you do have to be. I mean, some terrains are different, but it seems like you have to be kind of in the draws and deeper in the
Right.
you know uh, steeper terrain sometimes. And um, I'm sure there's some areas that's not true, but I know for us it's kind of held true. And
Yeah.
you got to play the wind differently. um,
Yeah.
so that's definitely, like, to that question. Whenever you said that, I was like, well, that's probably, if I'm being real honest, that's probably one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is not all animals are really hunted the same. You got to
Right.
change your tactics for.
Yeah. And it's kind of, along that same thought, like, you know, and I kind of think I was aware that they hunted different because uh, I didn't hunt elk. Like, I hunted elk in high school, but like after, because I had people that were going out elk hunting, and they're allowing me to tag along with them. Um, but I didn't really pursue elk on my own until, I guess, within the last, like, I guess, 7 years. Uh, and most of that is because, like, I was like, well, I don't know anything about elk, and I don't know how to hunt them. But, like, we do have a lot of information, for you can get from YouTube or whatever now, a lot more readily available. But even then, is trying to digest all that information that you're given, because, like, I've been more or less hunting elk for, seven, oh well, straight. I think I'm about 8 years straight, and it's just now sinking into me what I really got to be looking for.
Yeah,
Like, before it was like, oh no, I just go out in the woods, and this is elk woods, so there should be elk in these woods, and not, like, really doing much more than that.
yeah, yeah. I have a feeling to that. So, like, or I have a thought to that. Uh, some of the things that you learn off of, the hunting shows, and you're trying to gather all that information, the YouTubes and podcasts, all of it. Uh, some of the information that you gather off of it, I feel like sometimes it doesn't truly sink in. Like, you remember it, but it doesn't
Right.
truly sink in until you experience it yourself. Then you're like, oh, this is what they're talking about.
Yeah.
This is what they're always saying. So,
Right.
from my experience, maybe I'm just hard learning, but hard at learning, but
Right.
I feel like sometimes you actually have to experience it before.
No, I agree with you on that one, because I feel like, like, hard lesson is, I always is change. I think without, is the ability to change, because I think a lot of times I get out there and, like, bring that statement back is all this stuff you watch on YouTube and read in magazines, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be, like, this is awesome information, this is great information. But then you get out there and you're kind of like, like, you don't remember or retain it, or maybe you do retain it, but yet you fully don't know what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And then, until that you understand what you're looking for, then you're like, oh, okay.
Yep.
Until then, like, you're kind of stuck in a rut and kind of not necessarily scared of change, but you don't know how to let yourself change because you've never experienced it before.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's that's too.
Yeah. I would say that's definitely a hard lesson learned for sure. What's another one?
I kind of want to circle back to, like, how you said the um is I guess I'll call it obeying the wind, more or less, paying attention to the wind,
Oh,
because,
100%.
like, I'll admit, years in the past, like, I would just be like, oh, this is the way I'm hunting. I'm hunting around this finger ridge here. I know, like I'm going this way no matter what because this is where I want to go. And if the wind's blowing whichever way, then I'm not gonna, like whatever. But like this year, like we keep, we'll probably keep bringing it up till next year or even years down the road. But just that having that cow and calf this last year out here in Utah wind us without even seeing us.
Well, I mean,
And
and
that
that
was,
that kind of falls back in line with the kind of like hearing it and being like, yeah, okay, yeah, it makes sense. But once you experience it, that's whenever it really sinks in. Because that situation, like you said, we've talked about it plenty of times since it happened on these podcasts. But it was definitely a wake up call for myself and obviously you too a little bit. Is you
yeah,
know that that wind it's serious business. You got to really play the wind.
yeah,
People all these years they weren't joking around when they said play the wind.
yeah.
So it's 100% true.
Uh,
Uh
hard, hard lessons learned.
yeah, yeah. Hard lessons learned. Is there any? Oh, I know another hard lesson learned. It happened to me this year. Um, always try to aim at the vitals before you release your arrow. Always just remind yourself to aim at the vitals. Um, I let if you haven't heard this podcast before, or if you have, I let an arrow go at an elk this year. I'm 15 yards away, if that even. Um, really, no excuse. Just I let go of the arrow. The elk literally stopped. If he would have kept on his pace, I think I would have tagged him. Um, but he literally like pumped the brakes right whenever I let go of that arrow. But I look back on that and I go, it's not like he was going 100 miles an hour. Like I might have even been leading him too much, right? So, like if it didn't work out that way, I might have just injured him. If I had my choice, I'd rather get a good vital shot. But
Right.
I don't. I'm still almost every day still playing this in my head, going, what did I do wrong? I mean, it really affected me. Really 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 bothered me. Um, I mean, I'm gonna beat myself up probably until next year. I mean, that's just how serious I'm taking it. But, or until hopefully I get another shot at one next year. But but yeah, I remember thinking like right after that, I'm like, why didn't I tell myself to aim at the vitals? Now
Yeah.
I know I was lined up. I mean, my thought is as he was running, I was going to release as he kind of went right in front of me, and my nerves and everything else. But I'm telling you, if I would have been just a tad bit more patient, I could have literally just moved my arrow back. Like once he hit those brakes, it actually worked in my favor.
Yeah.
It just happened to work out where I released that arrow because I assumed that he was going to keep running. I released the arrow as the moment that he was hitting the brakes. But if I would have just been a little more patient, I could have just adjusted my shot just a little tiny bit, just moved back a few inches and got a good vital shot, got my elk, and rest will be history. But anyway, so lessons learned. Make sure that you're aiming at the vitals.
Aim small, miss small.
Aim small, miss small. Exactly. Exactly. So, uh, yeah. What's another one? I'm sure. I'm sure we got a handful of them because, well, I mean, we're the struggling hunters for a reason. Like this is right in our wheelhouse, Joe. We
Right.
should be able to go on all night, really.
Maybe that's our real struggle.
Yeah. Right. Uh, God, man, face for radio really got me, dude.
Uh, like one of the, I think in a way too, it's not quite a hard lesson, but it's a lesson that's learned kind of the hard way over time too, is how to prep your pack for how you hunt. Like that's because you get yourself set up, but then again, you don't know what you need till you get out there, and get yourself set up to survive, and then get yourself set up to hunt effectively with what you have in your pack. Because I can't really say, you know, a hard lesson that was learned that way. I can just say that my packs have gotten easier as I've gotten better packs. If that makes sense. Like my back's been better or not better. Or anyways, just getting a better pack helps you hunt better. But not that that was a hard lesson learned. That was just when the old pocketbook was allowed for that one to work out. But
Well, yeah, it kind of goes along with those lines of those investments. I mean, it is an investment to. I mean, our packs. Well, I don't know. I think we both would like to upgrade them again to that
right,
higher level, but besides that, I mean, they're long term investments. They'll probably be with us. Well, they will be with us probably for years, even if we do upgrade.
right,
But yeah, I mean, I got to say the same thing though. With that is, it's just learning how to pack your pack, and the more you upgrade. I mean, I started out with basically a camo backpack and with a with a hip belt, but it wasn't very comfortable at all. And I mean, I think you did too there for
yeah,
a while.
yeah.
But
I would say a lot of my beginning hunts was either with like a school backpack or a camel backpack of sorts that had pockets in it that allowed me to put stuff in it to get me through the day.
life was easier whenever I didn't wear a backpack. Actually, when I was a
True.
minimalist.
Right.
But I wasn't hunting as long. I knew that I was only gonna go out, like I was gonna make a circle,
Right.
short, maybe a couple hours or something. Like, I mean, there was a reason why I didn't bring a pack. But once we started going deeper in the woods and further, I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
And
Well, and like there's some things too that like I think it was Randy Newberg or somebody like it's kind of interesting as you think about like the pack world and how people hunt with packs and without packs. Like hunted one guy that he was a fanny pack believer. I'd go out there with like tons of water and not tons, but like well hydrated backpack for with water and food, and then like I think Randy said too, or so, I can't remember who said it now, but that like have your pack ready for the hunt. In other words, like are you set up for if you shoot something, can you pack it out?
right,
Too, and that's kind of why I kind of went more of a backpack route that I did is so that way, you know, I was like, well, I can just throw on a backpack and then if I get something, I can just start packing it out right there instead of like throwing a hind leg over my shoulder and packing it out that way, because I was like, that's not that fun. Why carry a fanny pack and then have to um, haul a hind leg out that way?
over your
That's
shoulder.
my thoughts.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm not too interested in doing that either. I mean, I'd rather
Yeah,
throw it on the back of my pack and crawl out that way.
right.
And yeah, I'm with you. The same thing. I mean, yeah, I second that.
I mean, you could have a nice framed backpack or frame back at camp to go back to get to come out. That's you can still do that with our backpacks, um, or however you want to do it. But that's just why I went the way I did, because I don't know if you call that a hard lesson or what, but like I guess a hard lesson makes you do things the way you do it because something happened to you that made you want to change.
Right. Well, it gets easier. I mean, you have a little more weight on your back, but I mean, other things get easier, I think.
Right.
And you kind of have everything there. I mean, my little setup, I like it. You know, I mean, I have everything for a whole day. I mean, that's what I
Right.
really like about it. And then the one thing, I mean, this is probably slightly steering off of hard lessons learned, but one thing that I'm, knock on wood, I've never had to use it, but one thing that I never thought twice about a first aid kit,
Right.
but then, started heard it on a podcast or whatever, and I'm like, the least I could do is have some band-aids and some gauze tape or whatever to,
Right.
because you never know. I mean,
No. Anything from sticking yourself with your arrow to when you're gutting the elk out or whatever, your deer, cutting yourself with your knife. Yeah, you never know where that injury could come from.
yeah, and I mean, I have a pretty small kit. I've thought about getting a little bit bigger just in case, and but it's just like having a gun. I mean, I'd rather have it and not need it than not have it and wish I did need did. The first aid kit is the same
Right.
concept.
Yeah.
So, uh, so yeah, that's. I'm sure there's plenty more, but I can't really think of much more.
Yeah. Well, I think we covered enough of it as it is. We're
Probably
into
went,
it 45 minutes anyways, so
yeah, probably went in a little further than we thought, huh?
yeah. We
Sounds good. Well, I could get us out of here.
sure.
All right, sounds good. So, guys, thanks for listening to us again another week. Really appreciate you guys that are constantly commenting and liking our videos. Appreciate the support so much, man. You guys are awesome. I really really love it, and it's just nice to see it every week, and makes us feel good. Makes it feel like it's all worth it. I'm glad you're enjoying the stories, and we're gonna keep them coming. So keep on listening. For new listeners, subscribe, like, comment. Really appreciate it. And with that said, the struggling hunters are out.
Bye.